Are you looking to grow your dental practice and attract top-tier new patients? Discover the potential of digital marketing with a personalized strategy session. Join Lila Stone, the marketing director at Equa, for an exclusive 90-minute consultation. Lila and her team will dedicate 6 hours before your meeting to create a customized marketing plan specifically for your practice. This valuable opportunity is free of charge and comes with no commitments. Visit www.insuranceuntangledorg/MSM to schedule your meeting with Lila today. You'll also receive a free analysis report so you can start transforming your practice through the power of digital marketing.
You are now listening to another episode of the Insurance Untangled podcast, where we explore the various challenges faced by dental practices due to their reliance on insurance. Join us in this podcast as we dive deep into the issues surrounding dental insurance dependence and offer practical solutions and strategies to help you take control of your practice's financial future.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Insurance Untangled podcast. My name is Ben Tuinei, and I'm one of the co-hosts on this podcast. As you know, we've developed this podcast to help out dental practices that are tangled with insurance. And the goal, of course, is to provide solutions to help you get out of those entanglements in a way that's profitable for you and your practice. Today, I got my co-host, Naren. Good friend, Naren. How are you, Naren?
Hey, I'm doing well, Ben. And yourself?
Yeah. Good. Thank you. It's always great to chat with you. And today, I'm going to be interviewing you about a pretty important topic. And the topic that we chose to talk about is how to build and own a sustainable and thriving dental practice. So that's a really fun topic when you look at it from all different perspectives. You know, success is success, but sometimes it's hard to get there. So, Naren, in your opinion, what does it mean to have a sustainable practice?
Yeah, that's a great question. And thank you for having me, Ben. I'm really looking forward to this conversation around building and then, of course, owning a sustainable, thriving practice over the long term. So what is a sustainable practice? A sustainable practice is something that I think a good way to think about it is you have fun. You are enjoying yourself, meaning it's not stressful. And usually, where does it come from, right? When you're feeling happy, it has a few characteristics. One is you're growing, meaning your practice is getting better for you, meaning for the same amount of hours worked, you're hopefully making more money every year. So to me, that's, obviously is rewarding. Two is you are growing as a, leader, meaning to your team, or you're growing as a clinician, or you are growing, in terms of your financial well-being. So that growth, I think, is a good way for us to stay motivated, because if things are going in circles or going backwards, we don't feel motivated. And what I mean by growth, I don't just mean in terms of numbers. I also mean in terms of your abilities growing, right? Like you are a better leader today to your team than you were last year. And it's very specific. You know how to hire good people. You know how to appreciate them. You know how to, make them go the extra mile. So things are improving. So one of the ways to do that is to start setting clear goals on what your goals are, and then work on it monthly, weekly, quarterly. So okay, if you want to, get to the end of the, do a 10-mile walk, maybe the first goal is to learn how to do a 1-mile walk, right? And then this is a 2-mile. And so you take your annual goal and break it into smaller goals, and then you go after them. And obviously the no-nos is you're not, trying to survive. You're not like in the business of just, somehow getting through another day. And, it's very unproductive. For example, if you're a heavily PPO infested practice and pretty much these PPO plans are not paying you well, you might be doing, let's say, $1.5 million of dentistry and only collecting 900,000. That's survival mode. You're working a lot harder. Your term is working a lot harder, and you're making a lot less than somebody else who's not in that trap. So anytime you are in that survival trap, try to get out of it. And sometimes it takes courage and commitment, but you don't have to do an all or nothing. You don't have to just go all in on fee for service. You can drop the worst plan. You can negotiate with Ben's help, one or two of those plans. So now hopefully you're making 20% more than you did before. So you can take steps from being less survival oriented and to start thriving more. So, it's just all about knowing where you are and then being able to work on these set goals and then work on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think sustainable practices, is it in your opinion that a sustainable practice and thriving practice are sort of synonymous with each other?
Yeah, sustainable and thriving are synonymous, because usually when you are thriving, you are sustainable. Like what I mean is, if your business is getting better every year, that's what thriving means.
Yep.
That's that means you are very sustainable, right? If you are in a stronger position this year than last year, then that means your profits are better, your team is better, everything is better, your patients are happier. Of course, that's sustainable. And if you keep doing that year after year, you'll continue to not only make your life better and your team's life better in terms of profits and income, but also, you are safeguarding yourself against, the whims of the market or the uncertainty of the market.
Right. No, that makes perfect sense. And so that kind of leads me to the next question regarding sustainability. It's this whole concept surrounding practices that struggle with it, right? Mm-hmm. Why do you think many practices struggle to get out of that survival mode and, that comfortable, sustainable? Why do you think many practices find it hard to get there?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think there are 3 reasons I can identify. Number one is they are so stuck with PPO plans, meaning they are totally dependent on PPO plans. Remember, when you are totally dependent on PPO plans, you don't have a choice on many things. In other words, you don't really control how much you get paid. You get paid what, they pay you, unless, of course, once in a while you negotiate with Ben's help. They're going to, not increase your fees. They don't wake up, they don't call you every year and say, hey, we like to pay you more this year. Here is the new plan. They don't do that, right? So, for example, your costs keep going up. Your employee expenses have gone up a lot. Many of the other costs have gone up a lot. So if you are in that PPO trap where you have inferior PPO plans that don't pay you well, then of course you are stuck. You are struggling, and when you are struggling, it's kind of like, imagine you are in the swimming pool. You are a kid and who's afraid of water, and you have like water up to your eyes, or like above your nose. You're going to get panic and you're going to like do dumb things. So when you're in this situation, when you are stuck on PPO plans who don't pay you enough, and you're just trying to get through one more month and payroll, right? You can't think about, thriving or sustainability when you are, in the survival/struggling mode. Another reason that happens is they put yourself at the mercy of the PPO plans, meaning they don't have marketing that consistently produces a certain number of high quality patients. So you're kind of like, yeah, even though this is really bad for me, meaning I don't get paid enough, and like I'm working for 10 cents on the dollar, what other choice do I have? Because I have no other way of getting new patients. So one of the solutions is to start going on the offense and start building a constant flow of new patients who are not PPO patients. Of course, I'm biased that on a marketing company, I do think SEO is a really good place to start. I would say look into SEO, try to dominate SEO, because the cost of a high quality patient coming through SEO is literally like a fraction, like almost like 1/30th the cost of a PPO patient. So instead of paying $3,000 with a PPO patient over like 5 years, let's say, because every year there's write-offs on that same patient, you can now make a lot more money, and at a lot less cost. Maybe it's $60 a new patient versus $3,000. So, that's one of the reasons people struggle, which is not having patient flow outside of PPOs. And then finally, same reality, but I've seen 2 different people react differently. I work with Gary Tackers, who's a, world-renowned coach, and he works with clients, and he has clients who continue to grow and continue to grow and continue to grow. And some of them today are like $5 million, $6 million practices. And then there are others who struggle, and some of them, after a while, he says, you're not a good fit. And usually the difference is bad things happen to both practices, the one who's thriving and the one who's struggling. An employee quits, 2 of your employees got sick and they're not going to be here. Bad things always happen. The difference between the ones who thrive and the difference between the ones who struggle is the ones who thrive just keep marching forward. If they had a plan of, let's say, adding a new service, just because somebody is off or somebody is sick, they don't stop that plan. They march forward. If they set some targets around, okay, we want our daily production for doctor to go from 1,000 to 1,100, they march forward. They don't let those excuses or those circumstances to stop them from their plans and making sure those plans come true. The ones who are struggling, on the other hand, they drop everything. They're like, oops, nope, only thing we're going to focus now on is this person who, this employee who's on leave. We don't care about our plans. So what happens is they make plans and they forget about plans. They make plans and then they forget about plans, or they change their plans. It's kind of like many people who try to make New Year's resolutions, right? Trying to lose weight, etc. But then they change it. Something else happened and they have a reason for why they can't do it. And then all of a sudden nothing happens. And the next year comes around and they're 10 pounds heavier than they used to be even last year. So things are worse this year. And they just keep going on that bad treadmill. So those are the three reasons. One is the PPO trap, not having a consistent flow of new patients. And most importantly, the difference between thrivers and survivors is thrivers keep marching forward. There could be bullets flying. They just keep going forward. They don't stop, and that's the difference. Yeah. And it's a habit, right? Like anything else in life, it becomes a habit for the thrivers.
Yeah. No, I like that. I particularly like the part about patients that you mentioned. I wanted to follow up on that here real quick, because I remember when I was at my first dental job, DSO, big budget for marketing and all that. But they would test a lot of different things. And I noticed that when they did a lot of the freebie marketing, free cleaning, exam and x-rays, things like that, it tended to attract a crowd of people that expected free, right? It wasn't the right set of patients that we were looking for that were willing to invest in their oral health. So you mentioned new patients, one of the three things in terms of the key sustainable things three things for sustainable practice. Can you speak to the part about marketing as it pertains to, sustainable practices and finding the right patient for your practice, not just any patient?
That's a great question, right? And I was talking to one of, I run a big company. We have around 300 people now. So I was talking to one of our key leaders. And I know my job is to coach the key leaders. And this particular individual, I noticed, is struggling more than, this person needs to. And one of the things this person does is, keeps changing the mind, right? So they have a plan, but then the plan is thrown to the window because of something happens, right? Oh, like for example, we want to build this area. We are going to, have this person work on it. And then one person quits. And all of a sudden that person who's supposed to build that area is taken away and then put in this role. So none of the plans come true because we're always in this, there's always some fire and you always keep changing your plans to fight the latest fire, right? The second habit is, taking easy decisions versus the hard decision. If you look at life, none of the things that really made a difference in your life are the easy stuff. It's the hard stuff, learning a foreign language. You were not a great basketball player when you started. Of course, you were tall, whatever, but went to that practice. You did the hard stuff, right? You practiced 4 hours a day and got some extra help, or, look at, even education, right? You stayed after school and you got the help and you just pushed through it. So we as humans have the tendency of doing the easy stuff. When somebody quits, just saying, oh, let's take the new person and put them in that role and forget about our plan is the easy thing to do. But is it the right thing to do? So I think, so let's back off for a minute. Yes, we all want patients, and we want it yesterday and we want it without lifting our finger, right? That's, the magical wishful thinking world that, some of these people who like to find the easy way hope. But it doesn't exist. Let's go back to the fundamentals of marketing. What is marketing? Helping your ideal patients find you and then influencing them so they start liking you. And then eventually they start trusting you. And one fine day, they become your patient. And then once they become your patient, it's providing the amazing service that they expected. And then they now become your fans. They write Google reviews. And then you continue and continue. That's it. It's not easy, but it's hard. But that's the secret, or that's the formula for marketing. Helping the right people find you, helping the right people choose you by helping them like you and trust you. And then, and then finally, once they trust you, they become your patients and you take care of them and they write Google reviews and become fans, right? So that's it. That's the formula. So once you know the formula, I think it's just a matter of, executing on that formula. It's a matter of just doing what needs to be done day in and day out. So, okay, helping right people find me. Okay, how do I help more and more and more right people find me? Helping right people choose me, right? Google reviews, right? You are a hero to somebody. Who are those people? What do they appreciate? They appreciate you treat them like family. They appreciate, you guys always on time. They appreciate you have great technology. Lean into that because you start reading Google reviews and the same 3 reasons keep coming in. Talk about it in your morning huddle. Just be that person who they can start trust. Because remember, trust is not something you can tell them to trust you. They have to trust you. So when these Google reviews keep piling up, saying the same 3 things again and again, because you're consistent, you guys know what those 3 things are. And every morning, every day, you as a team just work on it. And then even that's not enough, right? Because the happy patients don't write reviews. It's the unhappy ones who write reviews. Asking them for those reviews and learning how to get them to write love letter reviews. Now, when they go to your landing pages, let's say they are looking for high value services, they need to be convinced, right? Do you have before and afters? Do you have cases? Do you have a video that helps them like you? So simple short videos. Hey, I'm Dr. Smith. I've been doing implants for the last 17 years. Hey, look at some of my cases. I would love to help you. I would love to create the beautiful smile like the ones you see on my page. Come on by. So once you know the components of success, the successful people, the thrivers just keep doing that day in and day in and day in and day out. That's it. Nothing more, nothing to it. But what I see, the ones who don't succeed and going around in circles, they think there's a magic bullet somewhere and magically things will happen, and doesn't happen, and they go to find the next person who promises them magic. Again, this person is lying to them because he doesn't care. He's getting the commission check. And then they go round and round through marketing companies, and they're stuck with PPO plans. So the thrivers usually are like the 10 to 20% who just know what to do, and they just do it without, getting distracted by the noise and all the problems that come along the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That makes sense. So Naren, I know that you kind of spoke to the components for the next question here a little bit, in terms of how to build a sustainable system that works in terms of having a sustainable
Maybe I can expand
practice.
on it.
Yeah. If you don't mind expanding on that a little bit more, that'd be great.
Yeah. So I want to give you some goals. So I said, step 1 is helping people find you. I really think Google SEO is by far the best way to help people find you. It's not easy. Only 5% of you will do well with that because Google doesn't want to give you free traffic. That's what local search engine optimization is. You get free traffic from Google when people type in, let's say, dental implants, city name, or dental implants near me, or veneers near me, or whatever the keywords that you want to get people for. So it's not easy, but it can be done. So the goal I would set there is try to rank for 100 or more keywords on page 1 of Google, which means when those keywords are typed up, you are on the top 10 results, right? At least for 100 of those. And each one should be a good keyword. Like I was just looking at a monthly report for one of our clients. She has 170 keywords like this, and she started maybe a year and a half ago. One of those keywords is, I don't want to mention the city name, but let's say it's a place in New York. Let's call it Town 1 New York, right? Town 1 New York implant. She's number 1. Average rank is 0.3, 3.2. Which means 78 people type that keyword in, and on average, they are seeing her in 3.8 position. Similarly for 170 other keywords. So that's the first goal. Like, are you ranking for 100 or more keywords where these good keywords, you're showing up in the top 10? Now, we were dominating that one town. Now that's the town where she is in, around 40,000 people. Now she wants to go to the next town, 200,000 people, and start dominating there. So we are working on plans to do that. So slowly but surely, you can keep moving it up. So you don't just stop, you just keep increasing the number of keywords. But at the very minimum, if you're ranking for 100 keywords, you are in the top 5% of Google SEO. That's the place to be. Next one is Google reviews. Again, 10 or more love letter reviews every month. You can just go to Google and Google My Business page, see what are your most recent reviews, count the ones in the last 30 days. If that number is more than 10, great. Again, how do you do that, right? So we have a tool that makes it easy for people to write love letter reviews, and then you can incentivize your team with bonuses and talk about it in the morning huddle, have a champion who's in charge of this. Is a whole science behind it. I'm trying to give you a crash course, but the thing to remember is 10 or more love letter reviews every month. Just keep getting it. It's not like, I do it 1 week or 1 month and then, it's too hard or whatever, and some excuse and not doing it. Just keep on marching forward. And then, of course, I talked about landing pages. So, add a video a month or a week, depending on how comfortable you are with videos. It'll usually take you 5 minutes. Hey, I'm Dr. Smith. I'm so glad you're on our Invisalign page. Look at all the cases we have done. We would love to serve you. I've been doing Invisaligns for the last 12 years. Call my office, and I would love to, make sure you have the beautiful smile like the people on this page. Done. It's not complicated. Again, you can have a champion who's gathering those videos with you, because I like champions, because that way they are going to make it happen. You don't have to be the one making lots of things happen. So you have a Google review champion, you have a champion for, pictures and videos. And that person also could be focused on getting these cases, especially the, smiles, after smiles, right? The full face after smiles. Some people are not comfortable with the before close-ups, full face, because they don't want somebody to see their, ugly smile or, missing teeth or whatever. But everyone loves showing off how beautiful they look and how bright their smile is after you've, helped create it. So start collecting those, even if it's one a month. Again, the champion could be rewarded for making it happen. And then her job is every month get 1 or 2 cases, whatever your goals you set. So now all of a sudden that keeps growing, right? All 3 components of your marketing keep growing. Even with your marketing company, track the metrics. How many calls am I getting? How many keywords are ranking on page 1? Are those numbers growing every 3 months? Once you understand the secret of the thrivers, right? Doing the hard stuff, but not doing it all by themselves, but getting other people to do it. The champions, the marketing company, and then holding people accountable, they keep growing and growing and growing. And you notice, like I know many of these thriving dentists, $5 million practices, they work 2 days a week, a day and a half a week. They're having fun. I mean, they're like not killing themselves. They just know what to do and, what's important, and they just do it. Making sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's perfect. I appreciate you expanding and elaborating on those the steps, to build a system that works for a dental practice in terms of building a sustainable dental practice, that is. So appreciate all that, Naren. Final question I have for you is taking the next steps, towards building a practice that you really love and keeping it in sustainable and the thriving mode. What's your advice in terms of next steps towards that whole idea of having a sustainable, thriving practice?
Yeah, I mean, I think I said the 3 reasons the people who are struggling struggle. One is the PPO trap. Second one is not having a source of consistent new patients. And the third one is not having the habits of the thrivers, right? Which is, always surviving versus doing the hard things that's going to make your life better, setting targets, working on them. So I think the suggestion I'm going to make will attack all 3. So I would say start by finding out how well your marketing is doing. In other words, your ability to attract patients outside of PPO. And then start working on it. So increase the number of patients you're getting and do all the things that are key for marketing, the 3 things I outlined. When you start doing that, your dependence on PPO will become less and less and less. You can drop off the worst plans. Now the stranglehold that PPO has on you becomes, it's like, you hear about people in abusive relationships. They feel like if they leave that relationship, they're going to die. Literally, they won't survive and they won't have food to eat. They have this sense of like, I have to put up with this or else my kid is going to starve, and I'm going to starve, right? So they have these weird explanations. So the minute you start getting new patients and you start seeing the world, like let's say that particular abusive person in a relationship gets a job and starts making money and you're like, okay, I can do this. If I can make, $2,000, I'm sure if I work more hours, I can make 4,000. And yeah, I won't have the nice house, but I'll be able to pay my rent and, live, be a happier person, right? So you can start, just taking that first step. So I would say go after marketing, and the way we can help is we can just give you a marketing strategy and a plan to do really well with marketing. So typically by the end of 12 months, you should at least be getting 20 new patients from digital marketing. And A, that's by dominating Google. That's 100 or more keywords ranking on page 1. And B, working on your landing pages and of course, with the before pictures and videos, and of course, Google reviews. So, book that marketing strategy meeting. The link is insuranceuntangled.com/MSM, which stands for marketing strategy meeting, insuranceuntangled.com/MSM. Our team will spend like half a dozen hours, like researching your competition, giving you a report card on how well you're doing, and finally a blueprint and a plan. So you can do really, really, really well, right? So just work on it, and you will be amazed at what you can do. And then once you get the plan, whether it's with us or somebody else, take that first step. I mean, usually people who are addicts, so whether it's obesity or overeating, or whether it's alcoholism, or you name it, usually the first step is the hardest. But we try to make it easy by making it just a 1-hour meeting, and you don't have to do any prep. You just show up, and we will kind of give you the plan and and the strategy. And then you have to take action, whether it's with us or somebody else. So I would say take that action, because, I see the thrivers and they just have an amazing life. And then I see the people who are struggling, and the thing that really makes me upset and sad is they're struggling month after month, quarter after quarter, year after year. It's not like, oh, they're only struggling for 2 days and then everything is great. No, they just, because of these 3 mistakes they're making, they're struggling a lot for a long time. And I just want to help as many people, get out of that, daily grind and struggle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's, I think that's a noble cause, to get more practices into that sustainable mode and then that really thriving mode, right? And it's interesting that as successful business owners, most successful business owners seem to be so much less stressed in life in general,
Mm-hmm.
And it's the budding business owners that are constantly in survival mode that are just not loving life, right? There's a better path.
And then what happens is sometimes the budding business owner crosses the chasm and becomes a thriving business owner. And some, they just stay in that, valley and just keep struggling and struggling and struggling and struggling. And they end up with, health issues because they're working so hard, mental issues, unhappy marriages, unhappy kids, and a whole slew of problems. And I really hope many of them just figure out how to cross the chasm and get up to the other side.
Yeah. Get to that other side and then work hard to stay there.
Yeah.
And so
and it's usually not difficult. Once you figure out the secret, everything there's a secret, right? Everything there's a formula, whether it's Coca-Cola or whether it's, you name it. Coca-Cola has been printing money for the last 100 years, like literally like ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the formula, right? Nobody knows what that is except Coca-Cola company. But you just have to figure out this formula. It's not that secretive. Anybody can do it. And of course, we shared some of the secrets of the formula, but
No, that's awesome. Yeah. So as a listener, we recommend that you check out insuranceuntangledcom/MSM to request that marketing strategy meeting. The worst that could happen is that you get a report that shows that you're in a good place. The best
and you spend 1 hour of your time. It's not,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Best that could happen, especially if you feel like you're in survival mode, is you have a clear path on addressing one very important item, which is, the sustainability of qualified new patients, which we've seen that play out time and time again for practices that have taken that marketing strategy meeting and followed through on the recommendations. Naren, thank you for those recommendations. I think your thoughts about a thriving practice has been amazing, sustainable thriving practice. Any final thoughts, Naren, before we close?
Yeah, I'll end with a story that kind of really is fresh for me. This amazing, wonderful lady from Virginia I met in 2011. And she was working really hard, 4.5 days a week. And she was on like every PPO plan under the sun. Amazing lady, such a kind lady. And I ended up meeting her and her husband. Husband works for the government and, top secret, I don't know what he does. But anyways, a really good guy, like amazing people, right? On wonderful son. I never met the son, but I couldn't imagine what the son is like when you meet the parents. And then, they started working with us. And it was just, I was presenting at a conference where, people like her were there and she loved what she heard. And we already had several clients in that community. And so she's like, oh, let me try it. 1 year, who cares, right? So she just decided to work with us. And little by little, she started getting quality patients. And, like anyone with common sense, she's like, I don't want to be working 5 days a week, to take care of all these patients. How do I continue to only work 4.5 days? So she realized, some of these PPO plans were paying, like she was losing money on them. Literally, when she and her husband sat down and looked at the math, they were like losing $200, $100, even in those days per patient. So they're like, what do we got to lose? We just dropped them, right? Like now we'll fill them with the new patients who are coming in. And then little by little, and of course, I was not in close contact with her in the first few years. She went to like one plan. I think it was Delta Premier that was left. Everything was gone. And the funny thing is, in those 3 years, her practice went from 650, I think, to 1.3 million. Like it literally doubled. And she actually ended up cutting her working days from 4.5 to 3.5. So she's working 1 day less and she's making double the money. Of course, where does this money go? It goes to the profits. And she has slowed down, meaning she's now talking to patients. She's doing big cases, $5,000, $10,000 cases. They become her fans. And then, she was starting to have health issues by then because of all the, like surviving for the last 20 years. So she decided to sell. And then, of course, she got a great price because now the practice is doing 1.3, has a stable number of patients coming in every month. So the new guy doesn't have to like figure any of the stuff out. He just continues what she does. She doesn't mess it up. It was the lady who bought the practice in 2000, I don't know, I guess 2014 or 15. And now that person is still our client, the person who bought the practice. Anyway, so it's just, if you know what to do, life is not complicated and hard. You just have to learn, figure out the formula, and then just do those. We hear about the 80-20 rule, right? The 20% of the stuff that makes 80% of the difference. Just figure out what that 20% is. Don't go around in circles, killing yourself doing the 80%. Just stop doing the 80%, and then you will do fine.
Yeah, find what works, stick with it, and build on it. As the rules change over time. So, no, this has been amazing, Naren. I think what you shared today, it excites me as a business owner too, on things that I could be doing to be sustainable, and thriving. So really appreciate what you had to say and cover, packed full of wisdom. Thank you again, Naren. No, I want to thank our listeners too for joining today's podcast episode. And if you liked the episode today, don't forget to share this with your friends and family in dentistry, as well as giving us some reviews. Those reviews would go a long way in helping our platform reach other dentists that would find our content valuable. Again, the website is insuranceuntangledcom. For Naren, insuranceuntangledcom/MSM to take advantage of that marketing strategy meeting. You can find those links in the show notes. Thanks again for joining us. Until we meet next time, we wish all of you the very best of success. Take care, everybody.